Live, going live. Welcome back to another episode of these crazy people who are 10 minutes late, but still eating meat and can't shut up about it. I'm Tom. This is El Gestorino, back from the brink of death, riddled with the modern pestilence.
Yeah, I caught it. I actually caught it. Well, to be fair, I had to go to another state, stand outside in pouring rain at a distillery. So there you go. And not get like more than 5 hours sleep for like a week. So
So, next time, are you going to buy the poncho at the beginning of the tour?
probably not. I might buy the umbrella or I'll bring, I don't know. I feel like it's one of those things that can only happen once. Like if I were to do like first of all, I mean, it's a tour of a brewery. Do you really need to tour it more than once? Secondly, the chance of me going there and the same thing happening are like, I don't know, probably like lightning strike chances.
Mm-hmm. All right. So, my question was a little more general. Like, are you ever worried about getting caught in the rain and getting soaked to the bone again?
It's really weird. Like, I don't know. I think it was they honestly think it was more the sleep, the like stress of driving to the other state, and like the air conditioning. Hey, in the in the um in the hotel room, because I had it set to like 64. And so when I got back, or when we all got back, it was like an ice box in the hotel. And I think wearing wet shoes, and like, yeah, just not able to get like dry. So that, and I did drink water that was running off the side of a rock, like off the side of the hill. That
Mm.
may have done it. Who knows? There may have been an animal that had defecated up there or something. I thought I was fine because I thought it was just like limestone water or whatever. I thought like it
Mm.
would naturally filter it. So maybe that made me sick because my other friends didn't drink from the side. I drank from the side of the hill
Mm-hmm.
in the middle of the rain. So it could have been that too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So just poor choices all around. I've been soaked in the rain and I usually do okay.
Mm-hmm.
I've also jumped in a hot tub that I thought was warming up when it was all just in my head. So I've done that as well. And I was carnivore and it was like April.
All right.
So like
But
I've done different things. So I honestly think it was a combination of lack of sleep, stress. The airport's full of germs. I had to go to the airport. And
yeah.
besides, if I got sick on that Saturday, I had already been fighting it like the week before.
Mm-hmm. Oh, Carnivore Latina and Christina are here.
Hooray.
Yes. Well, you had many reasons. I think not enough sleep's probably at the top of the list. Yeah, you go without sleep for enough days, you can get just about anything.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I just had one day of fever. If it didn't turn into a dang sinus infection, I would have been like up and running so much quicker. The hardest part has been getting rid of the sinus infection, which is kind of my MO. But
Yeah, you
I'm
got a long history of sinus infections, right?
right. And I get them less. Like I used to, like I pretty much get them once, maybe twice a year. But I've got to really be rolling some serious loaded dice when I get them now, actually.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and whereas before carnivore, I mean, I mean, it would be 3, 4, 5, 6 times a year. I mean, hell, it was so bad that I had sinus surgery done. You know, and we had like an ear, nose, and throat specialist. I was on Flonase, loratadine, Claritin. Um, they said Flonase would totally take care of it or whatever. I was on that stuff for, I don't know, almost a decade straight. I mean, I was taking it the way you're supposed to take it. And, you know, I forget how Flonase works. Do you remember how Flonase works? Did you ever use Flonase? Did they ever give that to you?
I'm not. I don't remember exactly if I used Flonase. I was using one of those sinus steroid sprays at one time. I remember the ear, nose, throat guy prescribed it to me, and he's like, "Yeah, come back in a couple of weeks." I was back in there in like 3 days because my sinus is just like closed up, and my head blew up like a balloon. And I was
Oh,
like,
shit.
so he comes walking in the door, looking at the chart, and he goes, "I thought you were coming back in 2 weeks." And he looked at my face, and went, "What happened?" Like, I don't know. They're your drugs, man.
Oh, it is a corticosteroid that prevents the release of substances in the body that cause inflammation.
Yeah, so that I was probably on like the generic version of that. I
Right.
remember it being a cortical steroid. So
Yeah, they gave that out to everybody. I think even my mom was prescribed it at one point. I don't know. I mean, maybe it helped me a little bit, but not as much as Carnivore for sure. It's so crazy. Like, yeah, I took that all the time, every morning, 2 sprays, like each nostril. And I would do that like nasty sinus rinse thing, you know, which maybe if I had done that, rebalanced the mucus in my sinuses, maybe that would have worked. So the next time I go on a trip, I'm considering bringing back the sinus rinse and
I
doing
tried
that.
it. I never got any benefit from it. So I used to have one of those neti pots, and I tried
Right.
all these different connect concoctions in there. I never noticed any improvement. You're supposed to be able to clean out your sinuses, get rid of the allergens, and soothe those swollen tissues. And I didn't notice any improvement. And I went into it believing, oh, this is just what I need. I was like, yeah. And then I think after a month, I was like, this hasn't helped one iota.
I used it for years. I think it actually helped me
Hmm.
um, overall. I
Yeah,
just think it doesn't work the way like they're told. I think it helps to like moisturize and get some of that mineral elect salt
yeah.
in the nasal cavity and kind of rebalances things.
Speaking of moisturizing your sinuses, so I was talking to my buddy, and we were talking about getting good sleep. He's like, he's like, I got a humidifier, and it really does help. He's like, I used to use one, and it really helped, and I don't remember why I stopped. So I got a new one, and it helps. And so like I got one too. But then all of a sudden, it became June, and the humidity's been high here. It's weird because it's normally dry here, but it's been like at least 60%
Mm.
um ever since. So I used it for like 2 days, and it was pretty cool. They're like so sophisticated now. This thing is like this black obelisk, and it has a remote control and a timer, and it can be hot or cold, or you can add, I don't know, fragrances or something to it, essential oils to it if you want. And it blows through like a half a gallon of water a night. It's insane. So, but anyways, yeah, I used it a couple times, and then the humidity went up, and I was like, well, it's not doing any good. So now I'm not using it till, well, it'll probably, come August, it'll be like 10% humidity again. So 15. So then I'll try it again. But yeah, that can help. And I'm sure there's people out there that use a sinus cleanse and stuff like that. Um, it does help them. So, it just didn't help me. I'm not saying don't try it because it seems pretty benign, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of funky. It's a plastic bottle. You got to nuke it so it's not like freezing cold or burning hot going up your nose.
Well, they have those
And
battery
plus,
powered ones now, right?
do they? I haven't looked
Yeah,
in
yeah.
on them.
It's like you put it in both nostrils, and it pumps fluid in one and out the other.
Oh, that's crazy. I didn't know. I had one that like I did put moisture or something, and that didn't work. That was like $130 wasted or whatever. You know, I've seen one that they have now that's like a cartridge, like a salt cartridge that you put or whatever. So they're coming up with neat stuff, I guess. Maybe something will work one of these days. But the big thing is keeping it clean and dry, because if it stays moist throughout a day or a couple of days, it builds up mold and bacteria, right? And then you're just shooting that straight into your nostrils. You know,
Yeah,
same thing with the nasal sprays of any kind. If you use them more than like a week or so, bacteria builds up in the porous, because plastic is porous, right? And so it absorbs some of the bacteria, and so you end up putting bacteria or virus back up into your nostrils, and it can cause frequent infections as well.
That's why I used to hold it away from my nose and spray until I got myself in the eye.
But if I were to invent something, I want to invent one of the sprays that has a stainless steel nozzle. Yeah.
Yeah, why not?
It would be kind of cold or whatever, but I mean, not that.
Well, then you just need a schnozzle warmer.
There you go. Cozy. Your schnozzle cozy.
Schnozzle cozy.
That would pop off of it, so you could wash it every so often, or dip it in hydrogen peroxide or alcohol.
Right. Why not?
And then I've got my secret solution that's patent pending as well. So there you go.
Yeah, we'll have to look and see. Maybe that Flonase contains fluoride. Given the name, who would be? It's kind of wondering if that's where they got the name. Like, oh yeah, that's right. Fluoride-based corticosteroid is perfect for their nose. All right. So what are we here to talk about? Oh, by the way, what are we supposed to do? Tell everybody, hey, please subscribe, hit the like button, definitely leave comments below. The more interaction, the better for the channel. And of course, there's been lots of drama because Bart got taken down twice. And then I don't know if anybody else saw it, but Sean was talking about on Instagram. They were giving him strikes for stuff. He was talking about a published peer-reviewed study, and they gave him a strike for talking about it. So anyways, our days might be numbered. I'm definitely looking at starting to upload videos at Odyssey, which is the video service on Library. We kind of flirted with it in the past. And of course, there's so many platforms that were potential alternatives to YouTube. Of course, none of them have the traffic. And over on Odyssey, basically they're crypto based, it's built on a blockchain technology, and you can just tip the people who make videos. Like, you can send them a little tip, so it's much easier to support the channel financially, because you can contribute small amounts over there. And here, YouTube takes, I don't know what it is, a third or something like that of everything. And then if you have subscriptions, they take a big chunk of that. And I never really got to the point where I had enough time to set up a subscription or a private videos. So anyways, maybe we'll experiment with Odyssey. And but any support we get from everybody really helps growing the numbers. We really need to grow our numbers. So they've been stagnant since COVID started. We were doing a nice climb, and then all of a sudden it leveled off. And of course, everybody tells me it's because of shadow banning and stuff like that. And of course, a lot of other people had that same issue. So, but somehow we haven't managed to get out of the hole yet. So anyways, that's one of the reasons why we started doing these lives, because I hoped it would build. That was Justin's brilliant idea, to build our community, get our groupies together. So
yeah, we're the number one carnivore show, comedy carnivore show.
Right.
Yeah,
exactly.
That's our brand. We're the comedy.
All right, that's right. We're gonna write more jokes too, right,
Right.
Justin?
Yeah.
Especially since you're recovered now. You got energy. You're
I got
inspired.
some energy. I'm inspired. Yeah.
All right. All right. So let's get to the topic. What's the topic?
Uh, Carnivore mistakes. So it was inspired by this. Would you call it a meme? I don't think it's a meme, but graphic. I
It's a
guess
graphic somebody posted.
it's a
Yeah.
graphic. It's not a meme. Um,
Um,
I forgot what
um,
happened to it.
it's a good thing I asked you if you're prepared before we started.
I am prepared. Here it is. No, I have it. I'm just trying to figure out how to share it.
Just kidding.
Share screen. Ah, there it is. Yeah, so it's inspired by this graphic here. I don't know who this is. There's no watermark. So, and this is purely for educational critique, comedy, and fun. So there you go. No striking us down. It's part of critique. So there you go, which is
Top 11.
protected under the 1969 Copyright Act. So there you go.
It's titled Top 11 Carnivore Mistakes. And it lists 10 instead of 11. So I'm not sure what's up with that. But quitting early, too little salt, under eating, processed meat additives, restaurant additive, burger filler, sneaky sauces, cheap hot dogs, imitation crab, meatballs, and shady soup. We're just gonna have to guess what number 11 was.
Yeah, I guess so. This is how I grabbed it. So, or we can make number 11. I don't really see a lot of these as really mistakes. I mean, I think I get what they're going for, but I don't know how you want to do this, Tom.
Yeah, well, we have our own list, right? So I could share that, but Justin thought it'd be nice to tie in with a little graphic here and give a little due where it's due because she, I assume it's her. maybe
I don't know. I'm
maybe
not
she had
assuming it's
nothing to
her.
do with it. She's just a fitness model who's got photoshopped in, right? Or they photoshopped in all the text on top of her photo. I don't know.
Right.
Hard to say.
Yeah.
But,
So for me, the quitting early. I mean, I guess that's a mistake. I mean, but that's kind of, I don't know if that's particularly carnivore related.
well,
I don't know.
Carnivore Latina says 11 is there, but I don't see it. So I'm not, she knows something I don't know.
Oh, can you tell us what 11 is? I
Yeah,
can't see it.
help
Yeah,
us
this is
out.
the graphic I grabbed. Thank you. Um. Anyway, so quitting early. I mean, I guess. I mean, I don't know if that's really. I mean, I think it's a mistake to stop eating this way. I guess.
Yeah.
Oh, hey, 11 is there between 7 and 8. That is all the weird.
Oh, I see.
That's the cheap hot dogs.
So gotcha. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Oh yeah. They just put them out of order. Pretty clever. Made us look real hard.
Number 2, the too little salt. I could see that. You know, people not getting enough salt because of the kidneys and all of that.
Yeah, let's talk
that.
about that real quick. So when you go low carb, no carb carnivore, then a lot of people lose a lot of water weight because your body's holding on to water to help your kidneys do their function, and with that water, you retain a lot of sodium. And then when that's gone, you don't have the same level of sodium reserve that your body's used to. So sometimes people don't need enough salt to make up for that. So they, you might get muscle cramping or something like that. A lot of people wind up supplementing with magnesium. It seems to me, because magnesium deficiencies are common, but at the same time, it seems like, Vanessa is here. Hello, Vanessa. It seems to me a lot of people actually get more relief from like muscle cramps from just eating sodium than they do the magnesium. But if you're deficient in magnesium, you want to get plenty. Yeah, so a lot of people do know salt. I don't salt my food hardly ever. So, but I do salt water before workouts a lot of times because it helps with the workout. So that maybe that makes up for it. But if anybody follows all the, I guess I haven't really been posting pictures very often, but I eat a lot of raw steak and there's nothing on it. It's just plain old steak. So, anyways, but I have had leg cramps here and there. Usually when it's really hot, or if I've been drinking a lot of water. It's just drinking too much water will dilute your sodium levels. So, because it'll just go through you, you end up peeing it out. So yeah, I had that on the list too. So
Right.
let's see the ones that aren't. I don't have quitting early. I don't have on the list, but people quit diets too soon all the time, right?
Right.
But a lot of people who really want to make a change, they'll circle back around to it. So certainly seen people kind of start, fall off the wagon, and then a month later, like, oh my god, I was doing so good. I didn't realize how good it was, and then they come back, right?
Right. Yeah, it's true. When I'm looking at these mistakes, I kind of see them as newbie stuff for newbies rather than like seasoned carnivores. So like steak and butter going no salt. I'm sure it's an experiment, or maybe she did an interview or wanted to get some kind of result. But she's over 3 years in, and so um, I typically wouldn't tell a beginner to do no salt. Might be more difficult on them for a couple of reasons, but yeah.
Yeah, number four, processed meat additives. I suppose if you're eating processed meat all day, it'd be an issue. But I get the bulk of my calories from steak and shrimp, and I do eat. I won't shy away from a hot dog or something, but okay, so probably haven't had a single hot dog in, I don't know, a couple weeks at least, maybe more, maybe a month. So I don't eat them all the time. I will eat bologna. I will eat pork sausage. I will eat lunch meat, kind of stuff like turkey and roast beef and stuff like that. Most of them don't really have that many additives in them, but they can, and for some people that's a problem, you know. But I think if it's a small part of your diet and you've been doing it a while, you probably won't even notice. But I could see it tripping up a new person. Now,
Yeah, but maybe you were just about to say this, but again, it's about making better choices. So it's like Twinkie versus hot dog.
mm, yeah, if your choice is between a Twinkie and a hot dog, go for the hot dog, even if it's a cheap one. I
Right.
actually don't like a lot of the expensive hot dogs. Like, there's a couple of well-known brands. They're just too garlicky. And the longer I just eat meat, the less I like all those seasonings. I don't mind some hot sauce, but I don't like too much garlic or onion or stuff like that. It just gets annoying after a while.
Yeah, I had some hot dogs this weekend. They were like organic, grass-fed hot dogs.
Ooh.
Ooh. I feel like that's better. I don't think they were seasoned or anything, and those are pretty good. Just there's not a lot of fat in them. At least I don't think so. So it's just kind of like a protein bomb. If you eat a few of them.
Um, so I don't think I really have had hardly any exposure to fillers and burgers.
Yeah,
Uh,
I don't know what that's about. Burger filler.
but I just looked it up real quick, and they do things like oatmeal, rolled oats, breadcrumbs, barley, bulgur wheat, quinoa, uh, couscous, TVP, textured vegetable protein, grated or finely chopped vegetables like carrots, celery, and stuff. I don't know. Peppers, tomatoes, squash, zucchini, mushrooms. I mean, I see seasoned hamburgers that come with stuff mixed into them on purpose. At the butcher counter, but I'm not. I don't know. Like when I buy hamburger, it's just hamburger. Although, hey, how was that pork and beef ground together? How was it? Did you eat it?
Yeah, it was okay. It's different. A bit more dry. I'm expecting it to be a
What?
bit fatter. Yeah, it was kind of dry.
Hmm.
Um, and the texture, I got it kind of crunchy. Maybe that's my fault.
Mm,
Um,
yeah, I might have overcooked it.
maybe, yeah. Well, ever since being taken down by the small bird, I'm pretty anxious about. I mean, eating beef, straight beef that's undercooked, I have no problem with that. But when it comes to pork and chicken, um, but yeah, I mean, I think it just needs some butter and cheese. Like it was fine. The taste is different, and it's going to take a little bit getting used to. But for the price, it's unbeatable, and I would imagine nutritionally, it's nearly equivalent. I don't think a person should do that. Well, I mean, maybe it depends on your tolerance or whatever. But I know a lot of people are in a financial crunch, and 248 a pound is like $1 cheaper than even the
Well,
cheapest ground
ADS
beef.
ADS makes a point. You can make some beef bratwurst there. I just got to season it.
Yeah, there's an idea. Yeah, Jack in the Box's patties are kind of weird.
Are
They
they?
changed them. They changed them like, geez, like 8 years ago, and like I didn't like them after that. And they started telling them to not season the patty, and they tasted like more classic.
Yeah, well, like when I go and I order the Flying Dutchman, I tell them no salt because it gets too salty.
I
So,
love a salty, cheesy In and Out taste.
well, when you don't have a bun or anything else with it, I notice like if I ate one, it's no big deal. But if I'm eating six of them, I order them with no salt and only one slice of cheese, and then it's perfect. But I think if I eat, you know, more than four of them with two slices of cheese, it's just too much cheese or something. Of course, it's not the world's greatest cheese, so whatever that is.
But isn't cheese supposed to make you more want to eat more?
Supposed to. It must backfire after you've eaten the eighth slice. All right, so Carnivore Latina says for me, top four mistakes are one, not eating enough. Yeah. And I think a lot of people weren't. That's just one of those things that's finally getting traction, right? How long have we been talking about that? We were
Yeah,
noticing people not eating enough, right? We still
yeah.
go back to that. Two, drink too much water. Yeah, it's easy to drink too much water, and then that'll definitely throw off your sodium and makes it easier to eat less, right? And then think carnivore is a quick fix. Yeah. Um, yeah, I mean, things aren't gonna fix. It's not gonna fix everything overnight, but things should definitely start getting better. And of course, if you got a lot of things to fix, you can't expect all of them to get better at the same time. I mean, it might happen, right? But a lot of people a lot of the people who are willing to make all these changes, give up all the other stuff, and try something new, are compelled by health issues, right? And how many times have we seen that it's multiple health issues, right?
Yeah, definitely.
So yeah, I'm with you on that one. Carnivore Latina, and then coming just for weight loss. Yeah, like Emily, she lost 100 pounds in a year, which is a staggering amount. But not everybody's gonna lose the weight that fast.
Yeah, hers was atypical for her weight loss. Well, I mean, her entire story is kind of atypical. I mean, she goes carnivore and then she loses the ability to walk and gets MS, right? So Emily's on a whole nother level, like for sure.
Yeah. And let's see. Christina says, I'm close to 4 years in carnivore and I still can't eat processed meats. They cause inflammation for me, and I cannot tolerate seasonings. Yeah, so we hear that. Of course, it's not certainly not true for everybody. Because a lot of people just continue eating salt and pepper on their steak like they always did, or even salt, pepper, garlic, and onion seasoning. Right, is real common on steak, and that doesn't bother a lot of people. And processed meat doesn't seem to bother. And of course, there's different levels of sensitivity, and on top of that, there's uh, the amount that an individual eats could vary. And let's say that you eat 2,000 calories a day, and you're eating a higher ratio of processed meat to somebody who eats 4,000 calories a day, and it makes up a much smaller ratio. So there's all that to consider. So then back to the Jack in the Box one, right? Vanessa says, I noticed that the ingredients for the patties at Jack in the Box has some weird seasoning on it, so I won't try them because it'll probably cause me a headache. Yeah, so I wonder if it's just plain beef and then they add all the seasoning, or it's already got some seasoning in it, you think, Justin?
They started adding a seasoning. They made a big commercial and a deal about it. Like I said, about 8 years ago, and I totally noticed the difference. I lived really close to a Jack in the Box, and then my friend worked there, so I'd eat there like all the time. And then one day I went in and I got right after they changed, and I thought the seasoning was terrible. And so from the first time I had the seasoned patty, every time I went back, I told them no seasoning, and I never had a problem.
Gotcha.
And that was all before Carnivore. I haven't even had Jack in the Box Carnivore, so I don't even know. But maybe when I go to Cali, because there's no Jack in the Box around here. Maybe when I go to Cali, I'll have to get a Jack in the Box. Although I always thought that Jack in the Box's breakfast was better than their burgers. Like their, I forget what the breakfast Jack or whatever. There was like 3 sausages, 4 eggs, 6 slices of cheese. I think it was bomb.
All on one sandwich?
Yeah.
Holy cow.
No, it's huge. Like it's bigger than a Big Mac.
Wow.
Yeah, I know. It was like the breakfast Jack.
That does sound pretty good.
Yeah, I know. It was amazing. And the melted cheese. Dude, I'm getting hungry just thinking about it. But like I always thought they're, and it was cool because Jack in the Box, at least back in the day, would serve breakfast all 24/7, if you remember.
Oh, okay. I'd kind of forgotten that, but it sounds familiar.
Yeah, so you could, I hardly ever got the regular. I never really liked the regular patties. I would always get the bacon jack or the bacon cheeseburger, something like that. So I'd always get from Jack in the Box. I never really liked the jumbo jack or any of that. That stuff all tasted weird to me. But I loved the breakfast sandwich. And then really kind of strange, Burger King, very much the same way. I only ever liked their cheeseburgers. I never liked the Whopper. I thought the Whopper tasted weird. And then I loved their breakfast croissant. Was crazy bomb back in the day. So I don't know. That's weird.
I think the thing I used to eat there was the ultimate cheeseburger.
Oh, the ultimate cheeseburger was actually pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the breakfast sandwich was like the ultimate cheeseburger, except it also had egg and sausage patties.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, let's finish this graphic up here. So restaurant additives, there you go. Extra seasoning. I would say the one that throws me off is typically a lot of times they cook meat at the restaurant, they put vegetable oil on it. And that'll screw my digestion a little bit. Like I can feel it, and then I usually get heartburn. So on top of all the wacky seasonings I may or may not be using, it's the vegetable oil.
Yeah, I don't know if that's really like a mistake though. Like I think everyone knows that the best way to stay clean is to eat at home. Or like ask to use butter or just throw something on the grill. You know what I
Well, and
mean?
if you went to a restaurant and then like, you noticed something was off, you'd be like, "Ooh, I better not eat that again," right?
Yeah, exactly. So again, maybe I'm getting all hung up on the on it being mistakes, but I don't really see that as a mistake as it is.
Unless they don't realize like the vegetable oil is there and it's the problem. So, because I actually put that on our list. So, burger fillers, kind of already talked about that. Sneaky sauces. I mean, do they sneak sauce onto something, or are you pretty much aware it's there? Because I was just thinking, it's like eating a Big Mac, and I try not to trash McDonald's because I don't really have a problem with McDonald's. I don't go there because they're always crowded, and I don't have that kind of patience. But I was trying to imagine like a Big Mac with no sauce on it. It seems like it'd be dry.
Yeah, be a bit dry. There's I can't believe forgetting her name, but she hasn't done content in a minute here. Um, Pasty white girl, red hair. I want to say she's like late or early 20s. Um,
Beastie white
she posts occasionally as a treat. She says for herself, she'll get a Big Mac, obviously no bun, with pickles, onion, and the mac sauce or whatever.
girl.
And she likes those. I've been wanting to do it. I just don't know like if I want to have to take a day off from eating the mac sauce. But yeah, think about sneaky sauces. Now there is sometimes you go to like a restaurant and the it'll have a theme or something like that. So the sauces and stuff. Well, the burgers will have some crazy name, and
Mhm.
so then um, then you just got to do your due diligence of asking. Now, I understand people with a lot of anxiety asking what's in this and they don't want to be a bother. That I would say is the carnivore mistake is if you're going to eat out, not asking the right questions or not asking questions about what's being served, so that you can
Sure.
make an informed choice. Or you can play the more dramatic card and be like, "Hi, listen, I have a gluten, carb, vegetable allergy." You know what I mean? You can
I'm
always
allergic to secret sauce.
I'm
Can't
allergic
have
to
any secret
secret sauce.
sauce.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, we were at In and Out a couple years ago or whatever, and I forgot to order no. We got lettuce wrapped. Remember that? And I forgot
Yeah.
to say no sauce, right?
Right.
And I ate it, and something like that doesn't bother me. Of course, that happens like once a year, so whatever.
Yeah, it
And
is kind of individual, of course, all of these.
the other day, I went to Farmer Boys.
Oh, I
And
hate you. I love Farmer Boys.
I asked for a cheeseburger with no bun. Thinking they just put it in the tray or a box. That's what I would do, like a cardboard box thing.
Uh-huh.
But they thought I meant lettuce wrapped.
Yeah.
So when I got it, I was like, oh, whatever, I can eat lettuce wrap. But and it was for lettuce, it was nice looking lettuce, right? But it was nasty. It was bitter. I bit
Mm.
into it and went, ah. That was like so bitter. I was like, what the hell is going on? I was like, oh yeah, sometimes these leafy green stuff is really bitter.
Yeah, I think they use romaine. What got me as far as sneaky sauces was there's a lot of barbecue around here,
Mm.
and it's so hard to find a place that does barbecue without them adding sugar. Um, but on top of that, I went to a family friendly restaurant with questionable ethics. Um, and I ordered their wings. I didn't get the naked wings. There was one that sounded like one of the dry rubs or whatever on wings sounded really good. And it came, and when I started eating it, it tasted sweet. And I was like, oh man, this has sugar. So a lot of dry rubs have sugar, and a lot of barbecue sauces have sugar. And sugar completely wrecks me like 98% of the
Not
time.
just sugar, brown sugar.
Brown sugar.
It's got molasses. So yeah, so I don't know. Vanessa's not elaborating, but she said Same thing happened to me at Farmers.
Yeah, they use romaine, and what's really funny about romaine is that's the healthy lettuce.
It didn't look
You
like
pay
romaine.
extra.
That was a weird thing. It didn't look like romaine. It's weird.
It had the
Yep.
extra folds, right?
It was bright green, dark green, dark. Well, I guess it was brighter than it was dark. Yeah, I'm not sure what it was. I'll ask him.
I'm
Yes,
pretty sure it's romaine.
Vanessa got the lettuce. She got lettuce. All right, let's see. Cheap hot dogs again. I don't have a problem with that. Imitation crab. Yeah, imitation crab is usually like cod that's been dyed, and then they add crab juice and sugar to it. So
Mm.
and a bunch of preservatives. So yeah, that one's probably one to avoid.
Yeah, just because of the sugar, though. I mean, it was just
Yeah,
some pressed cod, whatever.
you eat it, and you can taste it's really sweet. So now meatballs. I don't really buy meatballs. And when we've made meatballs, it's so hard for them not to be dry. I don't even bother. So,
Well, I think with the meatballs, so there is a fine meats place bought their
fine.
meatballs,
Yeah.
and it actually, when I was talking to Joe, they typically do add some kind of flour in them and herbs and stuff like that. Um, Same at a restaurant. So again, it's not meatballs themselves as it is inquiring what's in the meatball. Obviously, if you make meatballs at home, which is some salt in them or whatever seasonings you can tolerate, if you can tolerate, that's completely fine. It's just meat. I do it all the time. Makes eating super convenient. I just throw butter on them and some cheese, and they're good to go. But yeah, meatballs themselves, in my understanding, is no big issue. It's again what's in the meatball.
So let's get on to shady soups. How many shady soups have you had?
I've always hated soup. I'm not a soup The only soup I love is miso soup, and I don't eat it anymore for obvious reasons. There is no meat in miso soup, sadly.
So,
Um,
so my nephew Carlos, he says, "Why would you eat soup? It's just like you put water on your food." Ironically, I was thinking about making meatball soup because the meatballs are always drying out. So I was thinking like a broth with some meatballs in it might work, but I'm not really a soup guy. So there weren't that many soups I really liked before I was carnivore. So
I mean, there's clam chowder.
right,
Clam chowder was mad bomb.
and technically it's chowder. It's not even soup.
Right, a
What-
chowder.
The best soup is actually chowder. So there.
No, wait, were you a red chowder or a white?
I ate way more of the New England style white, creamy white
Yeah.
chowder, but I did enjoy the Manhattan style. It's usually spicier as tomato, and then I also loved bouillabaisse and cioppino. So they're kind of bouillabaisse and cioppino. One's kind of the French Creole style, and the cioppino's the Italian style. They're both like spicy soups with fish in them, and shellfish and oysters, clams, mussels, cod, all that stuff kind of mixed together. So I did like that, but it's few and far between. It'd be a real pain in the what to make that at home because you got to go around and find all those ingredients. So,
Yeah,
anyways,
and most other soups, again, it's just about asking what's in it. It's a nice Italian soup that had like a what would you call them? Like a meatball, but it has the flour in it. I feel like it started with a G. I can't remember the name of it now, though.
a
Although
meatball with flour in it. It was all flour, or it was
it was like almost like a ravioli, but smaller with it was like wrapped together. And I don't remember. It's kind of like a dumpling, but it was an Italian dumpling. I wish Joe
with
was
meat.
here today.
It had meat in the middle, and it was like a tiny ravioli on the outside.
Yeah, but it was like in sauce or in, yeah.
Uh-huh. All right. Yep. Joe's not here. Maybe one of the people in the audience knows can interpret for you. So let me share the list I got just because
There you go. Raymond got it. Ganache, or I don't know how to say that.
gnocchi,
Gnocchi.
gnocchi are little potato things.
Oh, is that? Oh, maybe it's not it.
I
Then.
don't know.
Maybe
Maybe
they
some.
were potato. I thought they were meat, but maybe it was potato.
Maybe they put the ones I had didn't have meat in them, but I guess maybe somebody makes them that way. Yeah,
And like
interesting.
Italian food, like I mean, there's just some simple ways to avoid a lot of these mistakes, and that's I hate to say it, but avoid Italian restaurants, avoid Asian restaurants aside from sushi or sashimi, um, and Thai. Like there's just like a lot of restaurants that the cooking just the way they make all the food is just you're gonna have a hard time, you know. Like you're just gonna have to pass on Olive Garden, you know. I know those. I know the free breadsticks are hard to walk away from, but you
You're
get
gonna.
tired of them after a little bit.
How
They
about
started
soup?
getting really hard.
How about soup plantation? You got to pass on that too.
You're gonna pass on Soup Plantation. Yeah, you get to pass on the vegan restaurant. You know, and it's just part of it. You know.
So here's our list. When I say our list, I mean my list because Justin was busy when I put it together.
You didn't
Didn't
ask for suggestions. I didn't get the memo. You
you
didn't
didn't
email me.
you didn't read all the text messages I sent you? Come on.
Now I have to read. I don't remember that ever being part of the
You
deal.
know what? Before I forget, we do. For those who don't know, we do have a Telegram group called Meet Mosaic. So if anybody wants to join, we'll send you guys a link. It's small. It's like 10 people or something like that. But it's nice. Keep in touch throughout the week. I'm sure some of the people here are already in it, but so anyways, yeah, I think the number one thing about carnivore that people don't realize is it's not exactly the same for everybody. Like um everybody expects the same results and to do it the same way. So, not necessarily just feasting on ribeye works for everyone, right? I would say in general, people tend to do better
Well,
on a
also at $20 a steak, I think a lot of people are walking away
food.
from the ribeye these days.
Yeah, it's gotten pricey, right?
Right. I mean, I haven't had a. I mean, I found some discount thin cut ribeye that I had the other day, and it was quite good.
Really.
Yeah, but if it wasn't on discount, I wouldn't have bought it.
Oop, popping up in the wrong spot. So let's see here. Um, I one you gotta eat the cut of meat that appeals to you most of all, and I think a lot of people.
Turkey meatballs, duh. Just kidding. Just because I know you hate turkey meatballs.
Yeah, if there's ever a meatball that wanted to dry out and blow away, it was a turkey meatball. So
Maybe you can make turkey meatball soup. Maybe that's
yeah, well,
it.
we'll give it a try, but I'm not gonna buy any turkey anytime soon because ground turkeys annoyed me enough. So I tried, man. I tried. But yeah, so I think people need to like realize is like if they're not content, they need to eat more, change up what they're eating, eat a different cut of meat or whatever. I know a lot of people do really well high fat, and a lot of people are eating fat, straight chunks of fat and stuff like that. And they're doing great, but that's not for it doesn't work for everybody. So, making a little adjustment. And then of course I agree with the graphic. Under eating is a big problem. I think a lot of people don't realize it because it's so easy to undereat. Because I think a lot of people come into this under eating. They already know, like, drink a bunch of water, you'll be full. Eat a bunch of fiber, you'll be full. And
Bulk.
and then you think about it when you're on carnivore and your blood sugar is not crashing, you don't feel horrible, right? So you don't have the same sort of consequences you do when you're eating carbs, right? So for so many reasons, it's easy to undereat. You get up in the morning, yeah, you have some coffee or tea or something, it'll suppress your appetite. So it's easy to start eating late, not eat enough, and then I think, there's a certain amount of like shame that was injected into our culture around eating meat. So like people aren't used to seeing large portions of meat, right? I mean, I sat down and ate 2 strip loins just like an hour and a half before we started recording, and I'm already hungry again. And 10 years ago, if you had told me like 2 steaks at a time, what, 4 steaks in a day, maybe 5, what, I would say that's insane. Who could afford it? Who could eat all that? Wouldn't it get boring? All those questions. So yeah. um Under eating, I think, is a problem for a lot of reasons. A lot of it's just what we bring into it. A lot of it's just, it's like, you mean when I go to the store, I buy that family pack of steaks, I might eat the whole thing myself in one day. Yep, you probably should.
Well, yeah, I mean, I bought, let's see, 10, 30, like 40 pounds of meat like a couple days ago, and no one's filling their cart with just meat. Well, except for me and, maybe a couple other people that I don't see. But yeah, it's pretty funny. I get used to it. Everyone's usually like, especially if you got like a bunch of nice looking steaks. Like I remember when I would do that, there would oftentimes get people, typically men, but not always, that were like envious of my cart. Like, dude likes a steak, you know, just thinking that, oh, you're so rebellious. You don't care about your health at all. You're just gonna eat like a bunch of steaks, not realizing it's the complete opposite of like, no, this is actually for my health, you know. So you
Yep.
can spark up some cart envy in my experience,
Yep. I
and the
know.
occasional fight with the butcher.
Yeah. Well, there wasn't it the store manager that took your meat away one time? Saw a bunch of
Uh,
steak in your cart and he went, "You can't buy that much. We got restrictions."
oh yeah, it did happen. So then I bought like 2 huge roasts instead, like ribeye roasts or whatever.
Yeah.
Because I was like, fine, you're gonna limit me to two. I'm gonna get the two of the biggest hunks of meat that I could find in the store.
I remember
But yes, that did happen.
one time I was at the store one evening and I had some like raspberries, some yogurt. This is a long time. It's well before Carnivore. And I, the lady in front of me in line, she looked and she goes, "Oh, who sent you to the market to buy that?" I'm like, "Woman, I'm buying this for myself. What? Who the hell think you sent me?" And now I'm checking out and I'm just like piles of steak, and people are looking at that. They're looking at me and I know they're going, "Whoa, you must be single because that or he's having a party, invite all his friends over for steak." But yeah, I go in the same market all the time, so like I know the people there because I usually go through about the same time, so the same people are working there. I know the one dude calls me the steak guy.
That's great.
Yeah, he was asking me about it one night. He's like, "Oh yeah, you eat all the steak, blah 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 blah." And I was like, "You know what?" He's like, he was asking me how I like it cooked, and I'm like, "You know what? I don't cook it that much anymore. I just eat it the way it is." He's like, "What?" He was thinking about it for a while. I was like, "I don't think I've heard anybody did that before." Like, well, you didn't ask before, I bet either. So yeah, well, let's go on to bringing in concepts from other diets. Should be an S on there. Damn it.
Eat more, move, or what is it? Eat less, move more.
Yeah,
Calorie counting, avoiding protein because it'll kick you out of ketosis.
and tracking macros too. It's like I think before people even try just sitting down and eating what appeals to them, they're like tracking macros. You're like, I don't think you even been doing it long enough, right?
Yeah, I mean, there's some people that are just eggheady like that. That they like not the only way, but it helps them actually eat enough
That'd be
if they're
Justin and
tracking.
Tom.
Yeah, like Justin and Tom. Yeah.
Yeah.
Tracking project still on a stall since 1982. And then uh, other people, it's, trying to get protein and fat ratios. Other
Now I'm
people,
all for people adjusting,
right.
but I mean, you just buy a leaner or a fattier cut of meat, right?
Yeah, I mean, but people, I mean, you got to understand, people like me, like new to the world of meat and steaks,
Yeah.
you really start out not knowing. You kind of hear that ribeye is 50-50, but when it comes to anything else, you kind of have to look it up and look it up a few different times because you forget,
Hmm.
and then you got to do the math, right? Because percentages, and then it breaks down into grams, and then if you're really trying to target, it can get to some serious equations there.
Yeah, and it does help to understand the meat because somebody that I was asked me for a little bit of advice the other day normally eats a particular cut, and he normally buys the choice cut, but he decided to spoil himself and get the prime. Well, the difference in fat content from the choice to the prime, it went from 23% to 56%. So he more than doubled his fat intake and not realizing what he'd done, you know? And so, understanding something like that can be helpful. But of course, this is a person that's having a tough time and, um, not your typical easy does it, just start eating meat, which works for some people, but some people need a little more help. They've yo-yo dieted, they've been carrying hundreds of extra pounds for decades. They might have other issues, right? Um, something crazy's going on in their home life, or they're going through a big life change, or plenty of people have problems there with being addicted to carbohydrates or other substances. So, a lot of people just like, oh, I think I'd feel better if I tried this and see if it works, and it does. But the rest of their life is really uh, going well, and that's not everybody's case. So, maybe you need to focus on those things more. Maybe, well, somebody was talking about beef and butter gal. Uh, she's a type of personality jumps in head first, right? She just boom, she's going to change everything at one time. And some people need to sort of adjust incrementally rather than just going cold turkey, right?
Yeah, and I think I don't know if these are concepts, but there's a lot of slogans, right? Eat the rainbow, balanced diet, paleo, gluten free, not realizing that although gluten is a problem, carbohydrates are also a problem. Um, and so, yeah, there's a lot of slogans and things that can get stuck in our head from practicing other diets. But I think practicing other diets can help prepare people for carnivore because you're used to saying no, being a bit more food conscious, etc. And I think probably supplements. My biggest problem still, I'm getting better, supplement junkie.
I was going to put that on the list too.
Well,
Trying a
you
bunch.
have not enough salt twice, so you go and just type it in there. There you
Oh yeah, that's probably where it was going to go. Yeah, so you don't want to start a new diet, uh, and and then confuse your results with adding in a bunch of supplements.
Yeah, and especially since there's many people in the carnivore community that promote organ supplements. I suppose, a concept that I find more damaging than helpful in the carnivore community is the push for organs. I fell down the organ rabbit hole, so I'm not coming from a place on high. I bought the beef organs, I bought the brain, I bought them, almost all of them at one point. I was taking a handful of organ pills in the beginning, and then I tried the raw organs as well. Did that, and
But you
um,
never ate the raw testicles, did you?
no, I did not get my
See,
testicle card,
you
so I
never
didn't
you,
do it right.
you didn't do it right. You're never
No,
really carnivore.
I was never really carnivore. Never carnivore unless you get balls in your mouth.
Right.
That's the slogan apparently. Uh,
So yeah, so that's a big thing too, right? It's just like the concepts from other diets. We're bringing that with us. Like we're trying to feel better, be healthier, live longer, be happier, all that stuff, and a lot of that is marketed to us in pill form, whether it's straight chemical, some crazy herb, or some desiccated organ, or whatever. And really, most people, I don't think, need that. Some of them do. I always tell people, don't take a supplement unless you got a compelling reason to think you actually need it, like a blood test, maybe. Yeah. Ask your
yeah,
doctor, check with your
right.
doctor,
Yeah, I
or you
think
can.
the leniency on that is with more electrolytes. In my opinion, it's hard to get a test that'll see true electrolyte imbalances, but can be done.
Well, like magnesium, sodium, potassium are pretty easily tested. So, in fact, sodium and magnesium are pretty common on panels. And if you don't want to go to your doctor, or like they don't have all the tests you want, I know I ran into that because I love tests and love data. So you could go online. There's all kinds of labs. I'm trying to remember the name of one I use. Go online, you can order panels. A lot of times they're really affordable, and then they have a doctor who looks at it, and then he'll put the order in. You just go to your local blood draw place. Like, what's the one I'm thinking of? The big lab company. Um,
I want to say Merck, but that's not right.
no, it's
Isn't it the one that promoted the lifting podcast?
there's a couple of really big like companies that do blood tests, and so you'll wind up just going to one of their local places. And a lot of times the rules are a little different, like in the United States, from state to state. So I think the I think when I did it,
Yeah, Quest. That's certainly one of them.
yeah, Quest and Quest Diagnostics and LabCorp.
Oh,
LabCorp.
LabCorp. Yeah.
Yeah, LabCorp. So you'll wind some doctor in another state will order it for you, and you just go to your local LabCorp or Quest diagnostic facility, and they draw the blood, and then they email it to the doctor, and the doctor emails it to you. And then if you could want to take it to your regular doctor, because some of the tests, like your HMO or whatever, may not even have them available, or you may have exhausted, or maybe your doctor doesn't have a good reason to request the test. So you could just go online and do a lot of this stuff yourself now. So I don't see any harm in testing, right? And then you have data, because once you have the data, if you need to, you can go to your doctor and say, hey, what about this?
Yeah, I don't know. I think having a competent doctor that can translate the test properly, and B, once tests are in, not pushing pharmaceuticals, I think is a sad struggle for us in this community. Statins in particular.
All right, so let's talk about not sleeping enough. This is probably
Uh,
one of the topics that Joe and Justin and I talk about the most, right?
yeah, sleep.
Personally, we,
Can
we
be
talk
rough.
about this almost daily, right?
Yeah. Like I was talking, those that just got here or got here a little later. I caught the modern pestilence a couple weeks ago. I think one big part of it was getting like about 5 hours a night of sleep. I was just anxiety and stuff before like this big trip, and getting everything done, having my car worked on. It was a heck of a feat. Anyway, and then going to a different state, sleeping in a motel sleep, hotel sleep is never the most awesome. Um, and yeah, so and then now that I'm back, I'm getting pretty good sleep now, and I'm recovering, and I was knocking out really really hard while I was sick, which probably means I was late on sleep or not getting enough sleep for sure. So yeah, sleep. It's important for recovery. I mean, it's so important, and there's just aspects of life that carnivore is great, but if you don't have circadian rhythm stuff down, it makes carnivore, I think, a lot harder or healing a lot harder. So the getting sunlight, limiting exposure to electronics, bad news. Um, Mental health stuff, emotional stuff, stress, all that stuff is also very important.
Yeah, I think when I was doing the solo live, what was that? 2 weeks ago, a week ago? Can't remember what week that was. But anyways, I was talking. People are asking about. Somebody had asked about autism, and it's a really common problem with people on the spectrum, or people with autism, as we like to say, that they can have some pretty erratic sleep. A lot of people are really animated at night, so um, I've talked about some of the things I did, like blackout curtains. But I think the one thing I forgot is to wear earplugs. Wear those silicone earplugs. They're like a waxy type of material. Um, let's see what else. Um, I know that when I get enough sleep, I get better results from the gym for sure. There's no two ways about it. And of course, you feel better, you know, when you get enough sleep. You can concentrate better. And even though sleep typically gets better for people on carnivore, you still might have to work at your environment so that when you're sleeping, you can stay asleep longer. So,
One
same.
thing that I think has helped me is I've stopped taking all these B vitamins. I take one still, or I take one and a half still. Um, I was taking a B complex, and I noticed my sleep. I kind of struggled, you know. So I think that's helping. I've also found GABA. GABA really helps me. Melatonin doesn't really help me. I know you do melatonin sometimes. Um,
Yeah, if I want to fall asleep earlier than usual, I'll take some melatonin. It's very small, like it take less than a milligram at a time. So
and I'm of course also a big believer in the devil's lettuce. So CBD vapes, CBD oils, the devil's lettuce itself. A
I can
nice.
honestly say that the devil's lettuce does not help me go to sleep. I've had some crazy dreams, especially after edibles, but CBD, I know people swear by it. I know people in my family swear by it. Makes them tired, helps them sleep, lowers anxiety. Mm. And I get the opposite effect from THC. It heightens my anxiety.
Oh yeah, THC for sure, which is why
It doesn't
you
matter
need.
what strain. It doesn't matter whether it's, you know, the common branches that dare not mention. So yeah, it doesn't work for everybody. I know lots of people they really enjoy it and it really helps them.
Yeah, I mean, if I have something that's really strong THC, I will get in a bad headspace. Edibles put me in a bad headspace for sure. Um, but that breaks down into like a higher chemical, so I don't even play around with edibles. Anyway, let's not try to get the channel banned. So I guess we'll just leave it there.
All right.
Yeah,
Uh,
state by state,
all
follow
right.
your state regulations, of
So
course.
yeah, and of course,
And the meat mosaic does not condone, produce, or promote any use of any substance. So there we go.
is that right?
Mhm.
Yeah. So Justin and I have been doing the short rib series on uh, Fitbit slash trackers, fitness trackers, and sleep. The sleep data I get from mine has probably been the most helpful of anything. So just throw that out there.
And
So,
the heart rate data when I was sick was intense. I mean,
oh yeah.
I'd be sleeping and like my heart rate would be like 120.
Well,
And
I
I'd
would.
be like in zones, in those fat burn zones or whatever while I was sleeping. It was gnarly.
I would keep checking my O2 saturation, make sure it wasn't going down. It's like, should I go to the hospital? I got the modern pestilence, and I'd say, no, O2 saturation still normal. This should be all right.
I
So
should have checked that. I didn't even think. I forget about that feature because I never
tisk
use
tisk
it.
tisk.
You know, I was sick. You should have told me to check.
I only well, I think I did actually ask you one time in the beginning, and you said, "Oh, I haven't checked yet." So, and I've only talked about it here in the videos with you umpteen times. So
I'm not
I try.
okay. Now you're expecting me to read and remember
I don't
things.
know what
This
you're gonna forget.
job's.
That's the problem. I don't know what you're gonna forget.
I'm a 33-year-old carnivore male. At what point did I have to worry about my O2 unless I'm underwater or under some thick thighs?
All right, moving on to too much fat or not enough. Just general observation is that people tend to do, seems like on average, they tend to do better with higher fat in the beginning. And then a lot of people seem to need more protein later on. And I don't think a lot of people know that. They just stick with whatever worked in the beginning. Right. And so I think a lot of people in the end wind up being a little protein deficient. But, if things aren't going well, that's usually like the first thing to tinker with, fat to protein ratio.
Yeah, Gabrielle Lyon made a fantastic post with, in my opinion, terrible graphics, talking about the importance of protein. And every cell requires protein. You know,
Yeah.
every function, every hormone.
I
Like it
I've
is.
often I've often wondered is like the body's prioritizing when you starve because it's been probably been starved of enough animal fat for a while, so then it needs it the most. But then when your body starts recovering, rebuilding, maybe that demand for fat goes down a little bit, and then you need more protein. And a lot of times when people go on carnivore, they're more active because they feel better. They feel like doing stuff. So the more active you are, probably the more muscle you want to grow or replace, or the more organs are starting to fix themselves. They probably protein demand probably goes up a little bit, and it's kind of hard to overeat protein. I don't actually know anybody's ever done it.
Well, doing it consistently, I've never. You'll either get diarrhea or you just don't want to eat. Basically,
Yeah, I mean, if you eat a
like
lot of
Cole Robinson said he ate 5 pounds a day for like 3 days or something like that. And that was kind of all he could muster. So yeah, people have tried. I mean, and I always say, good luck. If you can do it, my hat off to you. But I doubt anyone can keep it up longer than 2 weeks to a month.
yeah, and a piece of red meat is mostly water. This is another issue that was helping somebody with. So yeah, there's some fat in the red meat. It's mostly water, and then say like maybe 20% of it depends on the cut of meat. 18-20% is actually protein. So you can eat a lot of red meat before you actually get a lot of protein. So
I think in that post by Gabrielle Lyon, she said the body could use up to like 300 to 400 grams of protein. Like
well, that depends on the person too, right?
right.
Because I'm more than twice the size of Justin, and I routinely eat like 300-400 grams of protein a day, no problem. And I still wonder if I'm under eating. And so, if
And
Gabrielle
yet
Lyon's
there's
saying
people
that,
out there running around saying to eat 50 grams of protein or less a day. And I just
right?
think that's
Yeah,
nigh psychotic.
yeah. Well, those people who follow that advice would probably be falling apart before too long. So, all right. Um, Too much fat, not enough fat, not adjusting fat and protein, vegetable oils and restaurant food. That's the one that always gets me because I get indigestion and heartburn. I hate getting heartburn because I used to suffer from it all the time. So, anyways, I know that got me the other day. I met my dad for lunch. I ordered hamburger patties with fried eggs on them,
Mm.
and I still wound up getting something in there that disagreed with me. Oh yeah, and I had fried cheese curds as well. So
Ooh, I think it was the cheese curds. That's my vote.
It was probably the sauce I was dipping them in. There you go.
One of those sneaky sauces, huh?
Well, it wasn't so much sneaky as delicious, but I paid for it. So,
There you go.
not enough salt could be a problem for sure, but that could vary. I mean, the weather can affect that. Whether you're drinking too much water can affect that. So too many supplements. Already talked about that. Keto junk food and sweeteners. I see that all the time. It's like people on carnivore, and it's like, what do you eat? What is that? They're like, oh, it's keto chunky monkey, and it's like, I don't think that's carnivore. Oh
Hey,
yeah,
you've
taste
been
that?
known to grab a Halo top from time to time, Tom.
Yeah, but I never claimed it was carnivore. I mean, it is made out of milk. It is milk, but yeah,
Right.
I never said, oh yeah, just eat all the Halo top you want because it's totally carnivore, eh?
And I'm currently making my own uh, ice cream. Well, it's freezing to be made tomorrow, and it has some sugar alcohols in there. I will confess my sin. Uh, but it's summer. I think there's nothing wrong. I mean, it depends on who you are. It's one go back to rule one: individualize. If you're a person that you eat something sweet, it's going to throw you totally into a binge for 3 weeks. Don't do it. You're that person.
Right.
If you're a person that can order something like that, like I bought chocolates yesterday because I bought chocolates for somebody and I thought they were going to give me one to try and they didn't. And this was like months ago. So I bought a box of chocolates because they only have like 1 gram of sugar, 1 carb in them. It's like 98% dark chocolate. And I ate one yesterday. It was okay, but the rest are sitting in the fridge and I'll probably just give them to my aunt or someone else. Um, and so, yeah, I can just do that and, just not go crazy with it or
Mm.
anything.
Yeah, Vanessa makes a point because not enough salt is a common cause of headaches. So there you go. Yeah, if you got symptoms, you might not be eating enough salt for sure. Leg cramps, headaches, stuff like that. And I mean that's an easy one to fix, right? Worst case scenario, monitor your blood pressure, right? Some people are salt sensitive. I don't know anybody on carnivore that's salt sensitive anymore because it seems like when you change your diet, I think it's only something like 10% of the population is salt sensitive. There's a great book called The Salt Fix. Isn't that what it's called?
I think so. Yeah.
Nick, I'll never say his name right. Nicola Tonio. Yeah. So, anyways, if you want to look into that, that's a great read. I have the audiobook version, so you can get it on Audible if you're not a reader like me. So, but it's a good thing to know. I don't really have to focus on getting my salt in, but I do it before workouts because I have a better workout. So does Joe. Joe, when he's cycling or running, he has like I think Joe said a half a teaspoon in a glass of water. So I mix mine. Sometimes I do put potassium in the magnesium in there too. I try and prep those ahead of time, and I drink a little on the way to the gym. I have them in glass bottles that I drive around with in my car. So, of course, it's getting to be summer now, so it's going to be hot. So probably won't be so tasty when it's hot. But, anyways, do we put this one to bed yet?
I think so. We covered some mistakes, certainly. And, individualize, just ask questions at restaurants, people's houses. I know me and Tom aren't big at fasting, but if you're really feeling anxious about, a restaurant food or you don't trust it or stuff like that, you don't have to eat there. You can sip on something, sip on a drink, just be chatty, with people. You can still have a nice time. Lying doesn't help. I've put myself in some pretty rough situations, lying, saying I was keto, and then people offering me fruit and cookies,
Huh.
uh, which wasn't good.
Yeah.
um,
Well, I still get that people, I've been eating carnivore for I forget over 5 years ago, and I still get people like, "Oh, are you still doing keto?" Like, no, not really. Oh, you gave it up? No, I just eat meat. Isn't that keto? So I can't tell you how many times I've had that conversation.
and most of these mistakes come from external pressures, and whether it's social pressure, environmental pressure, work pressure. When people really kind of sit with themselves, really take a deep breath, and think of what's best for them, they typically just revert back to just the meat, you know.
Well, every once in a while, well, almost once a week, I have a work meeting that's over over video, people in different states and stuff like that, and people are frequently eating that one because it's usually around lunchtime, and it's real casual. So I usually make a point to just sit there and munch on raw meat in front of everybody. So I don't get questions, I don't get challenged about it. Of course, I'm kind of more of a force of nature anyway. So when these things come up, I just make fun of people who don't get it. So
Yeah.
it's too much fun not to, right?
Yeah, you got to have fun with it. You got to make your own, you have to enjoy living this way and eating this way at the end of the day.
I like to do the. You're not eating raw steak yet? What? Have you been living under a rock? Anyways, hey, thanks everybody for being here, and for people who are watching this later, leave us your comments. Let us know what mistakes you've seen or what mistakes you committed yourself that might help other people, and make sure and subscribe and send links on to videos like this out to people that'll enjoy it or be helped by it. And definitely if you have some good jokes, send them to Justin. No, you can send them to me too. Send him the hate mail, send me the jokes.
There
That's
you go.
better. So, but I want to thank everybody. It's nice to have a crowd. It's nice to have a little community growing. So, anyways, and yeah, Christina, my buddy gave me some CBD treats for my dog. She freaks out on how our 4th of July or if there's a thunderstorm, and
Which
the
is coming
CBD,
up. Got to prepare.
yeah, I know, right? The CBD does help a bit, so it's not quite enough. But it does calm her down a bit because leading up to it, people are always shooting off some random fireworks around here, anyways. So, anyways, from the wild, wild firework exploding west, I'd like to say goodbye to everybody.
Bye, everybody.
And whatever you do, eat some
To
meat.
meet, feel better.
Whatever you
You
do.
too. Don't fall down the carb hole.